UFC Noche, awesome. Noche is a special thing. I mean, the marketing team at the UFC deserves praise for Noche. They really do. The UFC somewhere along the way got into UFC 1, UFC 2, UFC 3. And along the way, they would add to that. I mean, it wasn't always 1, 2, 3, guys. There was UFC 1, and then you had the Ultimate, but that was very special. And all they really did was change the name, but it was very special. Then they created this super fight, and they brought that in, but it was very special. And then they got the comeback. They did this with Ultimate Fighter. Ultimate Fighter 2, Ultimate Fighter 3. And then they have when they call it the comeback. And I'm telling you, the ratings, the feel, the appeal, it was all different. Spoke to Drew McIntyre today. Daniel Cormier and I had Drew McIntyre on Good Guy, Bad Guy. And Drew McIntyre was plugging the pay-per-view that he's part of this weekend. Special event, I guess they don't do pay-per-view. And it's called WrestlePalooza. As simple as that might sound, if you had your choice, guys, to watch something called WrestlePalooza, or it's called WWE 98,201, which is just going to grab you? And I just offer you that with Noche. It's a little thing. It's once a year. It's got a special name. It's got a little bit of a different theme. They change out the ring card girls. It works. It's freaking cool. It's just cool. And Noche goes down. And I'm watching this personally for one reason, which is my guy, Kelvin Gastelum, who I'm also very concerned with. I've got Clayton, I got Coach Jamie, I got Coach McQuarrie, and we're all texting each other, and we all have the same fear when Kelvin missed weight. This could be his last fight. All right? He was coming in off a loss, but in the UFC, they count the scale. Like where guys they get beat a few times and you're eligible to be cut, you get beat 4 times. Outside of a few exceptions, you're for sure going to get cut. They count the scale as a loss. They don't count it as a win for the guys that do make it, but they will count it as a loss. So Kelvin coming off a loss, the scale, had he been beat, could have been this final fight. So we're very nervous. We're very invested in this fight. Not to mention, why did he miss weight? Was it because he didn't have time to train? Is it because he didn't have time to train enough? Is it because when he trained, he didn't train hard enough? You ask yourself, you get worried. You start to get worked up. You start to create this anxiety within yourself. And at any rate, I go out and I'm watching. And frankly, he looked as good as he's ever looked. He was in a fight. I mean, it's the entire thing that Dana told us, don't ever tell me this is pejorative. Don't ever tell me this is provocative. When I tell somebody they fight like a Mexican, I'm giving them a biggest compliment you can give a fighter. Kelvin Gastelum fought like a Mexican. And it was awesome. And by the way, so did his opponent. I must give full props. So I'm on Noche. Now I'm in a good mood. Right now, I got a little high going on. I got everything's going my way. All the coaches are happy, and we're congratulating one another, and everything's going our way. You got to stick around for Jean Silva. Are we calling him Jean or John, by the way? I keep hearing it both ways. It's very clearly spelled Jean. But Daniel Cormier insists it's John. Okay. So, I'm going with Jean. Jean Silva comes up. And he became such incredible must-see TV. I'm not talking about a fighter and a contender, of which he is. I'm not talking about a main event athlete, of which he is. I'm talking about an entertainer. He became must-see TV during his walkout against Bryce Mitchell. And that fight was so hot. There was so much heat around that fight and why we were there that it wasn't even discussed. This had so much controversy that nobody even discussed it. Didn't need to. Everybody knew. And all you're going to do attempting to tell the story of how we got there is step in potential landmines. And he goes out and performs anyway. And not only does he perform, he put on a show. Okay, I'm just bringing this to your attention. This is my exposure to becoming a massive fan of Jean Silva. However, I did not think, I gave you guys my prediction last week with DraftKings, I did not think he was going to win the fight. I thought the reason that the fight was being viewed the way that it was, which was this major Jean Silva coming out party, is because of misunderstanding or misinterpretation by the audience of Diego Lopes's last performance. That was not Diego Lopes that Volkanovski beat up. Diego Lopes, the real Diego Lopes, stayed in the locker room. And that will just happen to an athlete mentally the first time he finds himself in a massive dream come true situation. The good news is that doesn't happen twice. Now, a lot of times, if you stub your toe in that big moment, you don't ever get that big moment again. But if you can return, and he did, he returned off a loss to a main event, which is the UFC and Dana specifically saying, I know what happened. I know that wasn't you. I know you belong on the top of the bill, and it's exactly where I'm going to put you. It was a big deal. Big deal that you understood this correctly. All right, now they go out there and fight. Dominic Cruz is calling this the fight of the year. Maybe. I do admit to Errol Hawani's point of short-term memory. Maybe. But I will admit that the round of the year took place. And Jean Silva was so hurt after this fight, and I mean emotionally. He was crying. He was so disappointed. He never gave up. He never backed down. He never wilted. He never conceded. He was put out by a shot, not all that unlike George Masvidal did to Ben Askren. I mean, that was one of these shots that would have put down a horse. There was no man that could have taken that shot. And it was kind of a lucky surprise. There was a few things that went into Masvidal's attack that, hey, I don't know if you could do that again, but great job tonight. And that's a lot like the shot that Jean Silva took. I mean, Jean Silva's doing what he's supposed to do. He's marching him down. As a matter of fact, he's smelling blood. When he's smelling blood, he's under the attack. Anytime you're attacking, you're open. If you're not attacking, if you're in here coverage, you're not open. As soon as you go to attack, there's the openings. As soon as you go to attack, there's the openings. As soon as you go to attack, there's the openings. Jean Silva was attacking. He was doing what you're supposed to do. His performance was wonderful. The outcome is not what he wanted. Rare. But you must, as an athlete, before, during, and after, think about the performance. Before the fight, you should not be nervous and scared and panic. You should be thinking about what I'm going to do. And you should narrow it down to 3 things. I'm going to do 3 things tonight. I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to make a promise to myself to these 3 things. Now, there's 100 things that are going to happen. I am going to make a commitment to 3. And I'm only sharing with you Jean Silva, who's very down right now. If he could stand back, if he was in my spot, it's so clear. It's so clear and obvious of what potential he has and what a star he is. His star power, his recognizability, his demand and command by you, the audience, is higher today than it was when he walked out. He's in a better spot now from a business perspective than he was before the fight. That's a win. But try to tell that to a competitor that just got an outcome that he didn't want. It's not going to work. And I understand that. But the spot that Silva is finding himself in right now, the way that he's feeling inside, the worry of how is Dana going to respond, the worry about will I ever get a main event again, is the exact same spot that Diego Lopes was after his last fight. So if John Silva can just look at this and understand the guy that just took his dream, the guy that was spinning around and threw an elbow at the same time and caught him while he was under pursuit, had a glorious moment after being in the exact shoes that Silva's in now. And if he can get to that point of seeing that, he's going to feel much better. And I understand those words don't set in with a competitor. But I am right.